going live.
Okay.
I think one of the most shocking things about the new National Association of Realtors lawsuit and settlement is the simple fact that buyers are now responsible for hiring their own agent and for paying their own agent. Hi and welcome. This is Susanna Gentry with Real Estate Real Talk here in Northwest Arkansas. And I have an amazing guest with me. Let me just tell you a little about her. Her name is Katelyn, and her accolades are so long. But for the sake of a little bit of time, I'm just going to tell you she's been a mortgage lender for over 10 years. She has taught and been recognized nationwide and received the 40 under 40 recognition from the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. She's a sales manager with AMC Mortgage, and she's located here in Cave Springs. So welcome, Katelyn.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I love a local lender. And I know this is off script, but I've got to say, I've worked with so many, big box lenders where you can never get a hold of them. And you and I can text at 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
I'm not putting that out there for anybody to know, but having a local lender is gold. And so thank you for being on. Why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself for a minute?
Yeah, so mortgage lending is my passion. As you said, I've been doing this for about 13 years now. But one of the things that I love about it is just the ability to really help people. And so mortgage lending, I view it as a puzzle. Everybody has different puzzle pieces, and we're here to put them together to get you in the home and get you the best financing available. So I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm excited to talk with you, Susanna, about all the changes happening in our industry right now.
Yes. And you are a rock star because you make mountains move for your clients. And that's so amazing. And, as a team, we have to do that. We do so much behind the scenes that we have to work really closely together. But so because I know a lot of people are probably wondering, what is the National Association of Realtors lawsuit? And what does it mean? Let me just kind of give a little background. So number one, buyers are now required to sign a legal agency agreement with their agent even before viewing one home. Now, that is so different because in the past, you might show people homes for months before signing an agency agreement. Now, before the very first listing. So that's really important. And that's where you negotiate what terms. And I know when I started off, I talked about how a buyer is responsible for their payment of their agent. Yes, you are going to sign a document, but that doesn't mean that it's not negotiated. So be sure to stick around later on. We're going to tell you how we're working through these things for you because we're on your side. We really want to make this happen for you. So you're going to negotiate things like the location, and of course, the fee, the time frame that you are represented. And then one of the big ones, if you're a seller, know that you cannot tell the world through the MLS anymore if you are willing to pay the buyer agent. And, some sellers are like, well, if I don't have to, why would I want to? And the really simple answer is just simply because of exposure. For instance, if there's a buyer and they know that they don't have the money to pay their realtor, they may be apprehensive about viewing homes that they don't know that the seller is going to pay a partial or full commission. So this is the unknown. So it's really going to come down to the agents being in communication and negotiating this. So with that being said, I'm sure in the past you realized that it's been a standard practice where a seller would negotiate terms with their listing agent, possibly to pay 6%. 3% would go to their agent, and then 3% would go toward the buyer agent. Well, that is not anymore, and it's not going to be a known fact. So if there's something that a seller is willing to do, it's not going to be found in the MLS. So it's a big secret. So, Katelyn, what do you think are the main concerns that you are having from clients and, all your conversations, and how are you answering them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, most people's fear comes from the unknown. And
Right.
so I think a lot of people just do not understand what's happening with the settlement, what it meant, what it means to them now. And so when I'm talking to a home buyer, I am reiterating the importance of working with an agent. One, they need representation. Susanna, you're an amazing example of a realtor who can negotiate and go to bat for her clients. And that's really important in a real estate transaction. You need somebody who has your back, who understands all of the contracts, and is looking out for you during the transaction. So number one, to alleviate the fear of the unknown, work with an agent. That is key in all of this. And then two, I think this is all about transparency. We make rules to the lowest common denominator. So somebody out there wasn't communicating, wasn't being transparent. But here in Arkansas, I think that we're a state who has always, talked about buyer representation and where the commissions are coming from. But now more than ever, you're just required to be more transparent. So again, I think it's good that we're going to have more layers of communication. But as a lender, that's how I'm talking about it with people.
Right. And it's all going to come down to negotiation, and that just really says so much more to be really careful choosing the agent. So what do you think about, like a best tips, practices that you are suggesting for, your clients out there? What are you saying to them?
Yes. So I kind of have three paths that a client can take. So this is kind of how I break it down. One, you need to work with a top real estate agent who is great at negotiating. That's so important as a buyer to put you in the best position, because all loan programs allow for the commission to be paid by the seller. So the loan programs are in line that you can ask for the seller to pay your buyer agent commission. And then you can also ask for more. You can ask for them to still cover your closing costs or part of your closing costs.
Right.
So that education, people knowing that they can work with an agent and it can still be paid by the seller.
Yes.
Is really important.
Takes a huge weight off. Now, that doesn't mean that's not going to be a battle, because obviously the agent that is representing the listing is going to fight to give their client the highest and best. That means not paying anything, so again, it all comes back to negotiation. And it's just like any attorney in a lawsuit. Which attorney is better? They're the one that's going to make the other side pay for their fees, So I agree with you that, it's so important to have the representation and the negotiation. But also, you were saying something about how it's listed out differently in, so let's say, for instance, you have buyer concessions, but now it's a separate line item for the agent commissions, correct?
Correct. So every loan program has a percentage that is allowed to be paid by the seller. So like, for instance, on a conventional loan, if you're a home buyer putting 5% down, you can have the seller of the home pay 3% of your closing costs. The commission piece is outside of that. So I think a lot of people were nervous that these commissions wouldn't allow to be paid because they wouldn't fit in that box, but they fit in the box. All loan programs, again, have said, yes, that can be a separate line item.
Yes. So I anticipate going back and forth many times, because up to this point, we really haven't had to negotiate any of the commissions, because it's been a standard practice to have that listed up front. And so let's say, for instance, if you go into negotiations of the inspection and things like that, I would think that this would potentially come up to amendments and a lot of changes throughout the contract. Do you think that this could delay closing in any way, or are you just full steam ahead? You're good to go?
We're good to go. I don't think it's going to delay closing. What I think is going to come out that is going to still be so important is to work with a local lender who has a partnership with your agent for that communication piece, because it's going to be even more important that the lender knows what's going on. Any changes to contract, any general addendums, we need to see them and we need to be privy to what's happening in the transaction.
Yes, yes, so important. For time's sake, I am not going to jump into the comments right now, but guys, thank you so much for joining, and the questions and comments, we're going to dive into those in just a minute, but I just want to say thank you for logging in and watching and supporting. I know we have not covered half the questions that you probably have, but whether you're watching right now live or on a rerun, we're going to answer those questions, and I'll probably end up doing another show from a seller's perspective and why they would, let their agent know what they're willing to do. A lot of different aspects to it. But Katelyn, thank you so much for coming on and just really giving some comfort to people that are like freaking out about this. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm responsible to pay, because on that agency agreement, I'm saying that I'm paying this amount. Yes. Well, what's the recourse? Okay, well, yes, it's in the negotiation. So is your realtor or their realtor better? And you just really made it more comfortable thinking about this being a smooth transaction, so I thank you for coming on, and you guys give us some thumbs up and make sure you continue to comment any questions, like and subscribe. And until next time, have a good night. Bye.
Bye.